Kent with Pure Solar and Electrical. Been in business for 50 years here in Yavapai County. And today what we're going to be talking about is pretty much the way solar's looked at right now. As far as, you're sitting on your couch, it's 4 p.m., you might have just got off of work, and then you got somebody at your door, right? And, about 70% of the time it seems to be a solar guy nowadays. Mm-hmm. That or a roofer or, sometimes HVAC.
Mostly the solar guy.
Mostly the solar guy, yeah. Right? And what you're getting is pretty much, some dude bro, that's coming up to the door and they don't ever really want to talk about solar, right off the bat because they know that, hey, that might, scare the client away, right? So they're trained to actually, try to ease you into, hey, have you guys noticed what's going on with the APS bill, the local utility? Have you noticed it going up? Or, hey, they just came out with this new rule, right? And this is going to get you away from that rule. Or the fact that, hey, you're a homeowner? Okay, perfect. This means you qualify. And the whole qualify thing, that might attract some homeowners. So we're, okay, I qualify for something, right? And I don't have to, pay any money out of pocket kind of thing, right? And
win-win, man.
It's a win-win situation, right? And that's where they're going into it. And, most people, they don't have the knowledge of solar, right? I mean, I went into this. I actually talked with the owner of this company, and I said, I know negative 5% about solar, right? So that's pretty much what you got with me. And then I went to school for it, and now I'm sitting here and managing a solar company. So to a point where what I really learned was that knowledge is power in this game. And so I'm not making every sale, obviously, because, I'm not going to sell to people that are looking at the price, hey, I'm going to save, $4,000 or $2,000 going with this company over you because I'm going to get XYZ equipment. And that's, what I'm very passionate about data sheets. Data sheets will bore the heck out of 98% of you guys listening. They will. Oh, I don't care what this is going to handle. Yeah. Well, that's what our job is for, right? And, that's where you have somebody, knocking on your door that, one, can't answer that question. So what they usually do is they'll, reel you in with, hey, I've got this guy that'll come over whenever, are you available tomorrow at 3? Are you available today at, in an hour? I can send this other guy over that'll go ahead and answer these questions for you. And most of the time you'd hope, that they have all the, the knowledge. But, when you're dealing with most of these larger companies, it's, I carry this product, I do this, and that's all they do. Whether, hey, I just do grid-tied systems, I'll install REC panels and N-phase microinverters alone. That's just a kind of an example to where, another company, hey, I'll save you, $5,000. I can use this random microinverter from, China. It's going to save you a grip of money. You'll save, $3,000-$5,000 on this system. And then these people are kind of looking at the bottom dollar. And that's where, one, solar could get a bad name from these clients that are just looking for the bottom dollar. Because no matter what, when you're going solar, product does matter, obviously, whether it be warranties, whether it be chemistry of batteries, or there's multiple different, things that matter when it goes via going solar and the products. But
I was also going to bring up that when I was looking to get back into sales, I could literally make a phone call right now and they'd hire me to go be a door knocker.
Yeah.
To set appointments for Pure Solar, or not Pure Solar, for solar.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know anything about solar. You don't have to.
You don't have to. And they usually like those people that really don't.
Yeah.
They want, then they get to, then they could mold you the way that, hey, this is what we really want you to do when you're knocking on doors, because you're a door knocker, right? Eventually, then they build you up. Hey, you get this many, set appointments with our lead guy. He'll go ahead, sit down, talk with you, and give you your options, right? Whether it be a hybrid, off-grid, or a grid-tied system, which, most companies honestly don't touch off-grid systems. That's something that we do specialize in, which that's what I'm addicted to. Anybody who could get off of the grid or who's building a new home and doesn't have to pull power, say, from APS or SRP and can just create their own power plant on their home, that's the future. That's what the majority of the business we do is not just off-grid, but they also call it hybrid. Hybrid's where you got grid-tied system, and if the grid does go down, you still have the solar system operating.
Those people that are talking about off-grid, how convinced are they that this is going to happen?
So that's where, I mean, we're going to see how this year goes, but the last 2-3 years, that has been the mindset, right?
Yeah.
Of, hey, you know, crap's going to hit the fan, however you want to say the saying, but stuff's going to go down to where everybody, you call them preppers, you call them, you know, the doomsday people, but realistically, it's common sense. I mean, these people know, hey, if the grid did go down or if this did happen, what would I have available? You know,
Right.
a lot of people have experienced it. Most people who have off-grid or hybrid system has experienced solar before, right? So they already know what to expect. Whereas most people that are getting solar for the first time, one, they don't know that, hey, if the grid goes down, their solar panels are going to go down with it without a hybrid inverter or a battery backup system, right? So they're going into it. I mean, I always thought anybody with solar on their roof before I got into solar, I figured they'd have power, you know, as long as there's sun out.
Right.
And that's just not the case, you know. And so there's the majority, you know, I would say at least in this area where we're at, that's what we're dealing with, right? Is, hey, I want to stay ready so I don't have to get ready kind of people. And that's what it does for you. So,
Well, because we know, if I want to get back at my son because he didn't take out the trash, I take away the internet.
Yeah.
And he's like doomed.
Yep.
You're doomed. And I think as a society, probably 90% of us, you take away our internet and electricity.
Yeah.
What happens? What
I mean,
happens?
it would honestly probably be a beautiful thing. You know, I actually was thinking about that, going out to dinner with the family, leaving phones at home kind of thing, but we still haven't done it.
The panic.
You know, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy where we're at nowadays, you know? I mean, we all know it. I mean, we're obsessed with these things and sorry.
Well, you remember TikTok went down.
Exactly, for 12 hours, which
12
I
hours.
personally didn't have it, but my wife does, right? And then so she looks at me and she's like, TikTok went down. And I'm like, she's like, it's straight.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's not allowed. And then it looks like, you know, the next day it was popping up and everything. And I'm seeing, you know, I have Facebook, so I see a Facebook feed of, you know, the end of the world. And of course, the jokes were funny, you know, like, you know, how am I going to show my cool, you know, skills I actually have to the world without my TikTok videos?
There was somebody that made a TikTok, like all these influencers with cookbooks going through, like, this is the only way we can get recipes now is buy a little candle and recipe books.
Exactly. And that's where, you know, I mean, that transfers over to even the mindset when people, they don't know. When our grid does currently, which most of the time it's at 95, 98% of the time, in most of our area, the grid's going to, you know, continuously be on. Of course, you go out more in Williamson, you know, you go out more in the open, that's where you're going to have more grid outages, and those are going to be longer grid outages, where most of those clients, you know, are looking for that battery backup because, hey, I have my well pump, I need water no matter what, you know, or I need my water and I need my food. And that's the majority of what they say, the preppers or whatever, but that's I would call them the common sensors, you know, honestly. But that's the majority of what they have. Two things I need backed up. Water and food. And those are usually people, obviously, with well pumps. The other things are luxury items, which don't call for too much power. You know, our lights aren't calling for too much power. Our Wi-Fi is running for 24 hours, but that's not calling for too much power. Of course, a fridge, that's running, you know, 24 hours, and that is calling for more power. But that's where the luxury items, you know, like I say, the internet, the laptop, the coffee maker, those kinds of things that you could technically live without. You know, you don't need a dishwasher, in my opinion. Of course, anyone listening, you'll go ahead and, I mean, you know, of course, right? As a mom, you'd like, I want that dishwasher backed up, you know? In my opinion, I'm like, heck no, I'll wash the dishes and
the air fryer.
I'll dry the clothes on a, you know, a string line. But that's where obviously money makes the difference there, you know? Hey, you want this backed up? It's kind of pointless, but you can back it up. Add more battery, you know what I'm saying? So
well, and I think it's, you know, when push comes to shove and money's on the table, it's like, oh, I can wash the dishes.
That's really, and that's
I'll be all right.
100%. I can't even say 90, but that's 100% of the time when, you know, they'll see, hey, this is what it's going to cost to do this, and this is what it's going to cost to do critical loads, is what I call them.
So I think about, you know, you started with the, you know, kind of the almost, I don't know. It's kind of cringy, like the guys that are knocking on the door, and it's like, I don't know you guys. And I'm going to invite you into my house, and so that's kind of weird, and it's just, I think solar gets a bad name in a couple ways because one, I don't want some guy I don't know knocking on my door and
Yep.
it's always going to be at the wrong time of the day. And then you've got, the other half is like, oh, the only people that are doing solar are the doomsday preppers and the off the gridders. And, it's good old electric company is going to be there
Yeah.
every day. This is, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot talking to you, like, it's okay to, solar is good and there are reputable companies out there and you don't have to. And the one way to make them stop knocking on your door is to have some solar panels up on your
One,
roof,
do
right?
that. Hey, I already got solar, but 100%, I mean, and that's honestly, that's one big reason I love working for the company, because we only knock on the door where you expect me, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you set up an appointment with Kent, so Kent's going to come knock on your door at this time, and then we're going to go over everything right there on the spot. Whether, and that's where, it's a lot of like what you were saying, it could just be the doomsdayers, but that's where everybody technically, especially in the state we're in and the area we're in, northern Arizona right here, or even, Phoenix, Arizona, we get more sun hours than any other state, right? So one, that means that your system's going to pay itself off faster than your other states. And it's going to produce more power throughout the year. You're talking about it could produce anywhere from 20 to 30% more than certain states that get a lot less sun hours. Secondary, no matter what, you're going to pay more every year. You look back 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, you didn't think I'm going to spend $500 on an electric bill ever. You'd think, oh my God, $200 is a little crazy. $300 is pretty crazy. And now we're looking at these electric bills like this is a normal thing. Hey, my cell phone bill's supposed to be $300 a month for 4 lines. This is my electric bill last year averaged around $300. It's supposed to average close to $400 and that's not the way, it is. You can actually own your system. And when I said your own power, like you literally can have your own power plant on your home that's producing energy via the sun and pushing back X amount of power to get rid of that bill. And that's the thing with it is you have, whether you're financing a system, you've got $0, hey, I've got, $700 in my account. I can't afford a $25,000, solar system. That's where even financing them, zero down financing, even though we've all seen in the last couple of years what rates and dealer fees have done. Hopefully this year we'll start seeing those go down. But even then it still makes sense, even with the ridiculous dealer fees or the interest rates that they got, it's still paying that solar system off in a certain amount of time, right? And if you're paying taxes, which most of us listening are paying taxes, there's that federal tax credit. That's an extra 30% coming back to you on that system. That's what makes it go from a 12-year ROI to a 7-year ROI, or a 8-year ROI, to where that means, hey, I'm going to own this system and its power that it's producing after this many years, right? And then on the majority of systems, you're looking at realistically $100,000 to $250,000 of savings over 30 years. You wonder how that's possible. Ask a solar professional. Pull up a graph and show me how I'm going to save $100,000 over 30 years. That seems a little insane to me. Those numbers don't seem realistic.
Right.
And they break it down. Hey, with a 6% increase from your local utility and you're paying this much every month, that means by 2035, you are going to have $800 electric bills, $1,000 electric bills.
Stop. It's gonna
We
happen.
don't like it, right?
I have a dumbest question I probably ever asked.
I love it.
Ever. So I know it's stupid in my head, but I'm going to say it. So the sun, because you mentioned it, you said Arizona, we've got the, sun every day. Is the sun less strong in the winter than it is in the summer?
Great question, right? So what it is because the winter, what we're doing is we're getting less sun hours, right? So as you notice, you're waking up at 6 o'clock and it's still dark, right? Dark. And then you're going outside at 6:30, and it's dark, to where in the summers you're looking and it's 5 o'clock in the morning, bright as can be. And then you're, looking and it's 8 o'clock and the sun's just starting to set, right? So that's where the sun hours is. So that's where anyone with solar knows that, I mean, has experienced it before,
Right.
knows that, hey, when it's my winter months, these 4 or 5 months, I'm not going to be producing near as much electricity as I am for these other 6 months.
But noon in June and then noon in December.
Right. So that's where another great question comes in, because the temperature, right? The solar, now a lot of people would actually think, more heat, more sun would actually make the panels work better.
Right.
When honestly, the cooler the weather and the bright sun, like what we have currently outside right now, bright as can be, and it's 29 degrees or something outside,
cold.
freezing.
Awful.
And these things are just banging out power compared to, the ones that are sitting in 100 degrees, and those panels are now sitting at 120 degrees, just via the heat itself. So those are actually going to produce better the cooler the weather in the winter months. So,
Awesome.
but you're also losing that extra power
Hours.
The hours. Exactly.
Okay. So, all right, I don't feel as dumb because I'm thinking it's cold, so maybe that sun just isn't as strong.
Right.
So, okay.
So it'd actually be working out a little bit better for you. But then again, you're going to see the usage and go, shoot, I'm only producing X amount, to where that's why anybody that is looking at going solar know that you're not getting $0 bills every month, right? You're going to have, more production in your summer months. And those are usually your bigger bills running the air conditioner. And if you have electric heat, then you're probably more of same kind of bills in the summer as you are in the winters, right? Because you're using your heat. Obviously, if you have gas items or propane items, that saves a lot of people a lot of money in the winter.
It saves, but
that's where you need that gas, exactly, or
propane.
propane. And a lot of people in that position to where they have a 500-gallon propane tank, and they have to have somebody truck on out there, to where
I have one of those. I fill it twice a year, but I fill it in October and I fill it in January, and that's it. So my propane will last from January to October and then October to January.
Oh,
so
that's
that
it.
500 gallons will last me all through, the rest of winter and summer.
And then, what do you use in or do you have like gas heat or?
Propane heat.
Heat, and then your stove too, and
everything's propane.
Okay, so that's where, and that's where like a lot of people that are going off grid, that's one thing that they have to weigh, right? Is, hey, if I put in all electrical heat, that system price and what the components are going to require, you're going to have to not double your battery, but you're going to have to get a lot more power just to power, say, electric hot water heater compared to a propane or gas hot water heater. That's a night and day difference, right? You're looking at needing around 50 watts for gas compared to 5,000 watts for an electric.
Right.
And that is what it really comes down to, or for off-grid people, not for the standard person that just wants to save money or prepare themselves for the future. Hey, I'm going to have this system paid off in X amount of time. And if everybody wants to save money, it's just right now, I think with solar, they're being told, I don't want to say a lie, they're not getting the actual right information. They're doing anything, I want to say, for a signature, where I've lost more than enough sales because I'd much rather have them 100% know what they're signing up for and not going, hey, this says this is going to do this for me, to where yours says this is going to do this for me. Realistic expectations is what you have to set nowadays in the solar game. And that's the only companies that are going to stay alive. I mean, we've seen, like said before, we've seen multiple companies go out. The big companies in Arizona alone, Sunrun, SunPower, Titan, those are big dog companies, right? To where, these big guys, and then I can start a company tomorrow, Kent Solar, but it's going to, obviously, if I'm running, it'd be a little bit different. But having that knowledge and having that base back on your system and not portraying just, I don't want to say false information, but setting real expectations for these homeowners is the clientele that we mainly deal with.
Oh, because I've sat down with those door knockers before, and it's very much do you have an electric bill handy? Sure, I do. Oh my gosh, we're going to save you so much money. And it's, that's great.
Yep.
For me, just talking to you the last few months, it's been, if I save a couple bucks, awesome. But at the end of the day, if something goes down, I still can live in the comfort that I'm used to living in.
100%.
It's because, our lights have flickered off and they've been off for an hour or two, and it's like, well, now what do we do?
Yeah. And what do you do?
What do you do?
If it's in the middle of the night, you're sleeping, so nice. But it happens at 4:00 p.m. when everybody's home, and you're like,
it's hot,
you
air
know, or the
conditioners
summer.
on.
That's the when it's the worst, right? Then
I've
you're
checked
like,
into a hotel
don't touch
before.
the fridge, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
you open that, and you're going to let all that fresh air out. So no.
Don't touch the fridge. Yeah, we've actually gone to a hotel because it was like, this isn't coming back on for at least 4 hours. It was, 95 degrees outside.
Yep.
Like, let's go. We'll let
And
the kids swim in a pool and hang
And speaking on what we're talking about, a lot, more of the, I've been seeing a lot more clientele of mine buying these little backup systems, right? They call it, whether it's an EcoFlow, a Mango Power, an Anchor system, but they're these, they come with like 45, 55 watt panels that you just fold out, right? And then they, connect to a little battery bank. And that's going to give you pretty much power to run like maybe your fridge for 8 hours or something, right? Or, you'd be able to power your laptop through a day or something like that. But that's where a lot of these people are buying these systems and expecting, hey, I'm going to go ahead and back up these certain loads, right? I want my lights, I want my Wi-Fi, I want my fridge, all these things backed up, and then I want them backed up on this little unit, where that's kind of, setting the mindset for a lot of homeowners to, hey, I'm going to purchase this, $3,000 unit, and I'm going to have whole home backup.
I'm great.
I'm good to go. Hey, this thing, or I watched a YouTube video with this guy that connected this panel and this, and then he showed me that he ran this for this many hours.
The internet does not lie, Kent.
It does not lie.
No.
Never. 100%. I haven't seen it once. So,
No.
and that's where, and that's where a lot of these units, and that's also setting false expectations. Now these people are going out and purchasing these $3,000, $8,000 units, where realistically, hey, if this is what you wanted to back up, these technical critical loads, this is the wrong system for you.
Yeah. Dad goes, watch this, kids. Like, what are you going to do, Dad? It's like, well, we can run the toaster.
We'll go right, exactly. Run the toaster.
Anyone
It's got
want
4
toast?
outlets, And so I would say, setting the expectations back to, that's what the future of solar is honestly going to come down to, is the companies that have been doing it. And it's not just there's a bunch of different solar companies out there that have been doing it the right way. And that's where I'm just pretty much giving caution to these homeowners to not talk to these door knockers. Honestly, one of my favorite thing is to talk with them, because one, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I'm not the guy that says, hey, I want to sound more smarter than you, who says more smart, but just to be
smarter.
Honestly, I like to give them a sweet, they get a commission if they send their next guy over, right? So I'm like, you guys are door knockers. You don't really know about solar. Go ahead, send your professional over, and then we could talk to them. And then that gets them pumped up. And then I always like to leave them, with knowledge, kind of like, hey, your next door, I would recommend doing this. I don't know if because I honestly would shut the door on you if I didn't know about solar, And, but it's just, that's what also gets these other companies the sales, is because they're knocking thousands and thousands of doors. And if they get 5%, 10% of that, that's a good market. You know what I'm saying? So that's not going to stop. You're not going to stop getting those door knockers, It's just, I'm not, like I said, I am saying take caution when you are talking solar, because it's not one size fits all. This is what we do. This is the only equipment we install, and this is the best choice for you, right? Because there are other choices. So
know what you're getting into when you open that door. And if it has sparked your attention and thought, you know what, I think I want solar, do some research. Maybe not go with the first guy that's knocking on your door.
Get
do your
multiple
own
quotes.
research.
I always tell all my clients that, of course, I want them to sign up with me, but I want them to make the choice that, hey, I'm providing you this information. You're going to take this information, and I hope you ask these other companies these questions. I might go a little overboard on the information, because, like I told you, I do just cherish the actual technical part of it, because it has to. Especially with, your hybrid and off-grid systems. That's probably why. Simple grid-tied system, you need to produce. I'll just tell everyone right now, if you have a home, you're going to need to produce anywhere from 140 to 150% electricity from your solar panels to offset an electric bill, right? So you need to produce an extra 40-50% of power to get rid of a bill, where a couple years ago it was 130%, right? And that's the reason I'm saying that, is to prepare you for the future, because in the future, APS is who we deal with, right? Or SRP and Phoenix. There's all these other utilities. In the future, they're not going to buy the power back at what they're buying it at now. That's why 130% a couple of years ago can get rid of 100% of your bill. That's why 140 to 150% right now is what it's going to take.
So their rates are going to go up, but they're not going to be paying as
their
much as they
rates
were.
are going to go up, and then what they're buying the power back is going to go down. For example, 2 years ago, it was at 8.5 cents. Right now, it's at 6.5 cents. And that's what APS is buying your power back at. 5 years ago, it was at 10.5 cents, right? At what they were buying your power back at. 10 years ago, 1 for 1. We're going to buy the power back at what you're paying the power for, right? Wow. So that's where, obviously, the people that want solar 10 years ago, their system's been paid off. That's why you keep seeing these homeowners keep getting solar, is because, hey, this system paid itself off. I sold that home. I actually made more money since this home already had solar and took care of an electric bill, compared to my neighbor's home who had the same home with no solar that was actually 50 grand cheaper. But these homeowners saw, hey, this had no electric bill for this homeowner, their lifestyle too, 50 plus kind of, and that's a lot of these people see. So, but and that's where I was kind of going with that, was the fact that 5 years from now, they're not buying the power back at 6.5 cents, right? They might not be buying power back, period, anymore. And that's what people in like California and other states are dealing with. They're not buying power back. They're allowing you to produce enough power to offset kind of what you're using, but you're still having a bill no matter what, right? To where right now is legally you can go 150%. Obviously, a new build, you're basing that off of what they're actually putting in that panel, electrical panel, 200 amp, 400 amp service. Right now, though, you have a year's electricity usage. I've used 17,000 kilowatt hours over the year. I can only produce 150%, which for somebody with a smaller system, that might only, offset 90% of their bill. Obviously, someone with a larger system, 60 panels, that's probably going to need, offset more than 150%, would offset more like 105% of their bill. But that's what you're looking at is next year, you're going to look at a cap system to where now you're offsetting not 100% of the bill. And that's why you're seeing a lot more people get battery backup, because it's not for the grid down situation. The majority of the people are getting these battery backup is to, one, offset where our utilities, every utility pretty much in the United States is charging all of us homeowners a lot of money from 4 to 8, because they know that's when all of us are home, right? That's when all of us are using the most power. And I still can't get my, myself or my wife to wash the clothes in the morning. For some reason, we'll have clothes in the washer at 7 o'clock going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just the way it is, and we get comfortable living like that.
So, I mean, it's obvious you're passionate. You understand solar better than anybody. If I were looking for solar, I would definitely thank the guy who knocked on my door if he could get past the gate and my dogs.
Yeah, no kidding.
But, and then I'd call you.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you for, because I see the signs, you get the little cardboard signs on the little wooden sticks on my street, and guys run around with little clipboards. And, I'm telling you, if I needed a job right now, I would call them and they would hire me in 2 minutes. Yep. And I'd be out there talking about solar.
I get a lot of friends of mine calling me, hey, I got this company calling, asking me to be a door knocker. I'm going to be getting dropped off. What can you tell me? And I love, at least teaching them about it, because then they could go and take the little bit of knowledge I gave them and kind of look like a badass, in front of their other door knockers and say, well, shoot, this is what a microinverter is versus an inline inverter. Basic information like that.
Shut your mouth.
And they're
like, a wizard.
How do you know about
You're
this?
You're a wizard, door knocker.
Exactly. Yeah. Which to me is, basic knowledge, but like to the people that are knocking on their door, honestly, most of them won't know the difference between what an inline inverter does versus a microinverter. You're just trying to get
another
sale,
and somebody might come and see you.
The cheapest price, hey, you're going to save money on an inline inverter. And that's where, anyone that is currently looking.
We can do this for you. It's going to save you all this money.
It's going to save you all this money.
Here.
Exactly. Do you want a 10-year system? Do you want a 50-year system?
Call
you know
Kent,
what I'm saying?
Pure Solar. Call him.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me once again. I always
You're
enjoy
awesome.
the time.
It was very cool.
Heck yeah.
Well, thanks for all you're doing and keeping the lights on everywhere.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm here for, keeping the lights on. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
See you guys.